So I've spent 7 days with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7 trying to use it as much as I can, from gaming to reading to scrolling websites and to shooting content. And while it's arguably one of the most powerful and futuristic phones out in the market now, so here are 7 things that I like about the Z Fold 7 as well as 7 things that I think could be better. So let's check it out. And the first thing is I absolutely love the design, and with all my heart, the design of this year's Z Fold 7, it's so sleek. My gosh, it's so thin and light. Just check out how thin this device really is. The entire phone just folds up so thin and nice, and even when it's folded up, it's thinner than my phone or practically most phones in the market now. And in my opinion, this really makes it one of the best foldables out there. And to be honest, this is very easy to hold with one hand, and it's built with premium materials all around. The blue color that you get here this year just looks fantastic. And just like the Z Fold 6 last year, I really love that the company is now very secure with their branding, and they don't need to include any Samsung branding at the back of the phone. And it's just nicely hidden at the side here on the hinge, which looks really nice. And although you're not getting the same camera layout as the S25 Ultra, you're still getting 3 stunning camera layout here on the back. The only problem that I face is the wobble, and since this device is so thin and the camera bump so big, if you don't like using a case, then this thing wobbles like crazy. And I honestly also love the display that you get. It's beautiful, and you get this large 6.5-inch cover display with a full HD plus resolution at 2520 by 1080. And when you open it up, you're going to get a large 8-inch display, which is a QXGA plus display at a resolution of 2184 by 1968 resolution, and using them on a day-to-day basis feels super good. And I'm not sure about other people, but to me, using the front cover display feels really nice, and even nicer than using any other phones I have, perhaps because of the thinner form factor, and you can just hold it very comfortably with one hand. This thing is just fantastic to use. And since this is a fold device, opening it up gives you a larger screen real estate, so it's quite awesome for consuming content with this. You also get the dynamic AMOLED 2X display for both this as well as the front cover display, and you get up to 120Hz for this display, so it's buttery smooth. And Samsung also made this phone really tough, and everything here is built with amazing materials. At the front here, you're going to get Corning Gorilla Glass Ceramic 2, and at the back here, you're going to get a Victus 2. So the frame is also made of an advanced armor aluminum frame, so everything here is aluminum. And as for the hinge, Samsung is also using an Armor Flex hinge. And when you close the device now, you can see how flush and protected the screen really is with this new hinge, and it's just so amazing how it looks and feels. And overall, I think from a day-to-day basis, this is definitely going to hold up. But again, since this is an expensive investment, not just another phone, I'm probably going to be using a case. And with this new folding mechanism, it feels really nice to be folding this phone. It gives you a lot of confidence, and using it really just feels very awesome. And it does fold open with a little bit of tightness and firmness, which makes it feel really confidence inspiring when using this phone. And with this new folding mechanism, the folding crease is also almost invisible when viewing straight on, but from the sides, if you tilt it a little bit, you can start to see the warp and the crease there. But the good news is when you run your fingers over it, it feels so minimal that you almost don't feel it, unlike previous gen foldables. Next, I also love the performance you get here, and with this you get the same top-tier Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy for the Z Fold 7, and the same chipset you get with the S25 series, and playing games, watching videos, and just general multitasking feels super good. You also get a couple of variants here in Malaysia, a 256GB model which will be launched later, but for current pre-orders you're going to get 12GB of RAM with the 512GB storage model, and a 6GB of RAM with the 1TB storage model. So making this an insane main powerhouse for all your tasks. So I tried playing PUBG, which is really smooth and it scales really nicely with the Fold, and you can go upwards of Ultra HDR graphics in ultra frame rate and still get very smooth gameplay with around 60 frames per second, which is like the maxed out graphic you can go with PUBG. So watching videos and YouTube on this goes upwards of 4K resolution with HDR, and from my test there isn't any 8K playback for YouTube, and maximum you're going to get 4K 60 frames per second. But nevertheless, videos here still looks beautiful and plays back very smoothly on this device. So in terms of the camera setup, you're not going to get the 5 lens setup with the S25 Ultra, and you also don't get the 50 megapixel ultra wide lens. However, this phone is still plenty impressive, and for most day-to-day use, you're not going to be getting flagship camera setup, but good enough for almost everything. And the 200 megapixel main lens at f1.7 is the main star here. And finally, we're getting a 200 megapixel beast on a Fold, and it shoots high resolution shots with a lot of details for you to pixel peep, and with good lighting, they look really awesome. Secondly, the 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide lens here is pretty standard affair, nothing too fancy here, and you do get good and nice ultra wide shots. But as the same to all 12 megapixel ultra wide lenses, you're not going to get a lot of resolution when you zoom in. The 10 megapixel 3x optical zoom here is great, and you get a lot of range to pull in. May not be moon shooting performance, but seriously, a nice 3x optical zoom beats out any heavily processed 100x zoom any day. Selfie camera wise, you get two 10 megapixel hole punch selfie cameras, one on the cover display and one on the inside. They're decent in good lighting, but nothing to shout about. But I really like the fact that you can still shoot a selfie image with the rear camera when you choose the settings to do that, and you can use your full megapixel cameras to be shooting that selfie. And video wise, only the main 200 megapixel camera gets 8K recording up to 30 frames per second, and all the other lenses here gets 4K resolutions up to 120 frames per second in Pro video mode. And in here you also get to choose between 24 frames per second mode all the way to 120 frames. And finally, this is a long-term investment because this is a very expensive phone, and with the Z Fold 7, Samsung is promising 7 years of software updates and support, so giving you peace of mind and comfort to invest in this phone for the long run. And if you find value in what you hear and like what you see, do subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so the YouTube algorithm can pick this up. And if you want to buy this phone, do check out my links below. So the first area that I think could be improved is still the screen durability, and I know that Samsung have put in considerably more tech into making this folding screen tough, but it still needs to stand the test of times. Folding phones are just different than candy bar phones, and the risk for a screen tear or problem with the middle is still higher than usual. But if you really take care of it, I believe you can still make it last, but you just can't be rough with it. I think one of the drawbacks for the Fold is the battery capacity, and it retained the same 4400 mAh battery, which is an achievement on its own, especially considering how thin the body is. However, for a flagship Fold device, it's nowhere near the performance you get with the S25 Ultra with a huge battery. So from my full YouTube test, full screen using the main screen, full brightness, full resolution, playback, I got from 100% to 0% in 16 hours and 45 minutes, which is decent still for most phone standard, especially considering it is so thin. However, when you compare it to flagships like the S25 Ultra with an almost 24 hours playback performance, and even with the base S25 which I tested, which is almost 3 hours more than the Fold at 20 hours. So this at 16, almost 17 hours of battery life isn't that durable. And because of the thinness and the gorgeous design you get here with this year's model, we're left with no S Pen this year. And it's not that it's not shipped with one and you can buy it later on, but you can never use an S Pen with this on the Fold 7 since there isn't any digitizer under the screen. So note-takings, navigating and dragging scenes to edit, these are all features we cannot have now. So for this beautiful device, but one that is very expensive, at least in Malaysia with the pre-order offers, you still get great value out of it, lots of perks. So please do check them out while they're still available. And the 12GB 512 gigs model now comes in at 7,799 Malaysian ringgit, and the 16GB 1TB flagship top of the line model comes in at 9,299, which is still cheaper than its recommended retail price. So do check them out during this pre-order to get them fast. So next is that the phone is built tough, no doubt about it, but it's still a delicate phone. So what do I mean by that? Because this ultimately is still a folding phone. If I just leave it open, my kid just left it open on the sofa like that, and I rest my knee on it because I didn't know, and it's likely going to snap. And because this is a folding phone, I'm just not gonna toss it on my bed and stuff that I do with my candy bar phone. So that's something to think about because this is still a delicate phone. And again, as to the camera placement, I got to say it looks really good from the back here. It looks super premium, but that wobble it creates because the camera bump is just on the side and it's so thick, it's quite severe and you can't honestly use it without a case. And if you look at the rumored iPhone 17 with the redesigned back layout, it would be nice to see a fold having a more leveled design, so it actually works without wobbling if you don't like to use a case. And finally, it's the charging speed, and it's not that this is a slow charging phone, but you're getting only a maximum of 25 watts wired charging, which is the same as the S25 base model. And it would be nice to have a fast 45 watts wired charging for the price that you are paying. But hey, I guess you can't have everything. And also just a note, wireless charging is capped at 15 watts. So overall, a really amazing phone this year, and Samsung definitely pulled it off. And I've been a super loyal Apple fan because of the ecosystem that Apple provides with their products and that I'm sadly tied into. But if a phone is going to change me into an Android user, it's not going to be the S25 Ultra, it's going to be the Z Fold 7. So what do you think about this new phone? Is it something that you will buy? Do let me know in the comments below. And if you want to check out other smartphone reviews on my channel, click on this playlist right over here. And if you want to check out other Samsung videos, click right over here, and I'll see you over at those videos.